Come, come, come out tonight. Come, come, come out to play. Come, come, come out tonight. Alice, come out and play.
It could have been because her mind was so muddled with all the insane distractions and diversions occurring, or how time was moving backward, along with all the curious characters of recent acquaintance. But Alice was now aware it was later than she thought. The crazy clock above the bar read precisely 5:03 p.m, and it was a very, very, very well-read clock at that. But let's discuss that more at another time, shall we? Perchance it was merely to take her mind off these things, so she dervishly dove into her work in and around the restaurant. One of the Hatter's patrons, in particular, caught her eye. That would be a woman sitting in one of the back booths, adorned from head to toe in white. It wasn't so much the outfit as it was what she wore upon her head, a beautifully bedazzling gem-studded crown. It was also because she was trying to catch Alice's attention and was now staring at the waitress while moving her hands about in the air. The woman in white was scribbling on her palm, employing pantomime to convey the universally accepted and understood gesture used between customers and waitstaff as a wordless way of saying, "Check please." As any competent member of any basic eatery establishment would do, the client's bill was tallied, totalled, carried to the crowned customer, ensconced in a MHR&B faux leather billfold, and left on the table to be paid. "Here you go, ma'am." "Yes, you may now call me madam. No longer the need to continue addressing me as your majesty." "I beg your pardon, madam?" "Oh, are you not, or I guess I should learn to say, were you not one of my subjects?" "One of your subjects, madam? I'm not sure if I understand what you mean. Actually, I feel as if there's not anything I truly understand any longer." "Yes, one of my, or was one of my, loyal subjects." "I'm no one's subject, madam." "Well, that could certainly be a debatable subject. What's your name, dear?" "It's Alice, your majesty, madam." "Well, Alice, being queen is not everything it's made out to be. Don't believe the hype. To begin with, it's very lonely at the top. Nearly impossible to find anyone you may truly trust or confide in." "Oh, I know that feeling, madam. I mean the trusting and confiding part. Then there are all the sycophants who pretend to be your friends but would just as soon stab you in the back for their gain as look at you." "That does sound royally dreadful, madam." "Oh, it is. And don't get me started on this crown." Her Majesty, we mean the lady in white, told her server as she began lifting it from her head, but first had to ask said server for some assistance untangling the hair which had become entangled. Once Alice had succeeded in helping her with the coronet-tangled hair, the woman sat the heavenly headwear next to her on the bench of the booth where she was seated to continue their conversation. "Alice? It is Alice, right? Good. And about the crown, I mean, the weight of it alone is nearly enough to crush one's soul. Now that's something they never tell you about in Queen's School." "You went to Queen's School, madam?" "Well, truth be told, I was only enrolled for a semester or so at NYU when a knight who rescued me from some pissy little dragon turned out to be a prince. Then I had no other choice but to marry the moron. So what else could one do but drop out of Queen's School, wed the dolt, wait for him to become king so they could coronate me queen, and then wait for him to die, which he just did, finally, today." "Oh my goodness, please accept my condolences for your loss, madam. I'm very, very, very sorry. And by any chance your rescuer wasn't the knight that goes around kicking people up the bum, was he?" "No need for you to be sorry, even if you had been the one who'd killed him, which of course I know you couldn't be." "Oh, by my handmaid's tale, the tail my late husband could never keep his grubby feely mitts off. I tried to warn King William not to ride to the battle in front of his troops and instead to hide behind them, or simply stay home in the cosy castle we shared. Separate bedrooms, mind you. Oh no. Billy, don't be a hero. Don't be a fool with your life, I told him. But the last thing he'd listen to, both figuratively and literally, was me. No one ever listens to little old moi. You do speak French, don't you, Alice? My native tongue is Croatian. Other than that, I'm sorry to say, English is the only other language I've ever learned. No need to be sorry again, dearest. Hearing that you don't is actually a relief. For a moment, I was afraid you were going to begin babbling back to me in French, and I'd have to pretend to know what you were saying. The only word I know in French is moi, and only picked that itsy-bitsy bon mot up during one of those NYU semesters of Queen School. I oftentimes wonder, even if I had completed the course, whether the tuition merited what I was taught. Between you and me and the dungeon wall, girlfriend, if I hadn't hitched my star to some dude who'd eventually become king, I'd probably still be paying off student loans to this very day. It's a disgrace, the interest rates they charge a kid trying to get a decent education. Why, oh why, didn't I just stick to the original major I'd chosen to earn my degree? Instead, I bent beneath the pressure from my parents to switch during mid-semester, and then ended up having to take useless courses like Queening 101. What did you want to do instead of being a queen? I wanted to be a poet, but you know how parents can behave when one of their kids wants to go into the arts. Even though Alice was unable to check the time from where she stood, she had a feeling that a significant amount of it had already lapsed in the course of this mind-boggling conversation. So she did what any trained waitress would do to end an overly long customer contact encounter by saying, "May I get you anything else?" "I'd like to pay you in cash, but I only have very, very, very large bills on my person, darling. But worry not, I will still leave you with a very generous tip for your troubles." "I could always just bring you your change, madam." "No, I don't believe you could really bring change." "Do you know why, my humble servant?" "No." "Then I must tell you. You see, true change may only come from within, which is reason number 1. Reason number 2 is that it's always best when there's been no change between friends and you have become a dear, dear, dear friend, Alice. And last but not least, they never give us queens any petty cash for spending, only credit cards. That must be a blessing for royal accountants, but it's a pain in the derriere for royalty. The patron eyeballed her cheque and then handed over a black American Express Centurion card. A short time later, Alice returned with onion skin thin pieces of paper to be signed by the credit card holder. It showed the food and beverage total, sales tax, a line to enter a gratuity amount, then a line below where the signer should add up and then enter the total of the aforementioned sums. Before she signed the line on the front side that began with the word signature, she read out loud, and to no one in particular, the statement that always appears between the sum total and the signature lines. Card member acknowledges receipts of goods and or services in the amount shown hereon and agrees to perform the obligations set forth by card member's agreement with the issuer. Ha, right. Well, good luck with that, bucko. After which she rapidly wrote something on the back of the vendor copy before her waitress had retrieved it. The lady must have departed the eatery while Alice was in the kitchen picking up another order to be served to someone else. By the time the Mad Hatter employee returned to collect the payment, the woman was already gone. Picking up the billfold bearing the payment, she was about to walk away with it when something that was sitting upon the overstuffed faux leather bench glittered and caught her eye. It was a woman in white's lovely bejewelled crown. Alice snatched it up, then ran to the street-side exit of the restaurant. Peering from the doorway, first to the right, then left, up and down the street outside, the lady was nowhere to be seen. Returning with the faux leather billfold in one hand and the gloriously gorgeous crown in the other, the server moved to an area where they kept the credit-debit card processing terminals. She thought to herself, Perhaps there's some information on this receipt that would help me return this to its rightful owner, as she set the crown upon the bar while inspecting the bill of fare. Immediately, two things caught her eye. One, the name the woman had signed, the White Queen. Two, in the location where patrons could include the gratuity, all she saw, in all uppercase block letters, was "Always see the other side." So Alice looked at the other side. In artfully scripted handwriting that possessed such painstaking and breathtaking penmanship that anyone would be wooed by its wonder, there were cryptic couplets written in tiny letters. Alice, my tips for you are twofold. Now here's number one. We have no guarantee in life of one more rising sun. I've travelled all around this world, seeing all that could be seen. Now I see so clearly. I am now sick of being queen. So take my crown and wear it, even if only for this day. But please be sure to share it before you go away. When you meet the pauper, give freely from your heart, for all must come to end for your final life to start. Within your time, do what you can to soothe the pain of strife. With kindness, care for others, do good always with your life. When we go and how we go answers not the question why. All we take in our departing is just this life when we die. Tip 2 applies solely to you before you come undone. Depend not on tomorrows, some tomorrows never come. Like every hour, like your last, because you never knew. Life went faster than you planned when the mirror you went through. Below this poem is this note: with kind regards and please do good always. Pam the poet, formerly known as the White Queen. P.S. Please keep the crown, if only for less than a day. I'm so sick of what it always does to my hair. What was the cryptic ciphering about on the back of the White Queen's bill? Alice so wished Nida, Dinah, the White Rabbit, Just Jeff, or just about anyone with a friendly face was still around, and from whom she could ask for conference and consultation. Since they were not, she set the crown atop her head while she read the poem for a second time. But even after the second reading, followed by a third and finally a fourth, its meaning still eluded her.
Come, come, come out tonight. Come, come, come out to play. Come, come, come out tonight. Alice, come out and play.